What is up, YouTube? Today we're going to talk about 3D printers. If you've stumbled across this video because something about 3D printing is in the title or whatever in the description, this is not really like a how-to, or you're not really going to learn anything from this video. This video is for like my FPV drone pilot friends. We fly these little drones around, and there's a lot of TPU stuff on them. We mount our GoPro on here. Here's a quick little clip of some stuff that we do. So, you know, we're usually having to order these parts and stuff. Some of these things are, all this green stuff that you see on this quad is all 3D printed out of TPU, right? There is some quads out there that has what's the word I'm looking for? Where they injection molded, right? But the cheapest way to do it is 3D printing. So my idea here in this video is I want to try to influence some people out there that may be a little scared of 3D printing and think that it might be a little over their head or something, because it's not. Because if I can do this, you can do this. You know what I mean? If I can just influence one person out there to be like, hey, if TAQ can 3D print his own stuff, then I can too. And you can. So this is the Creality Ender 3. This is the Pro version. We'll get into some of the difference between this one and the regular version. But I've had this printer right here for probably 3 or 4 weeks, and it has pretty much done nothing but print upgrades that you don't even need to worry about, right? It's just things that I wanted to do. It's got some green, I've got some green PLA. This is the non-flexible filament in here, and then I've just printed little doodads about it. So let's cut to some close-ups and talk to about some of the things that I've done on this printer. Hang in there. I'm trying not to make these videos too long. Excuse me. I'm thinking about doing like a 3D printer series. We'll see what kind of likes or comments that people have. You know, if you're out there watching this video and you're interested and you're like, TAQ, show me the way, because I'm going to try not to use any like super technical terms about all this stuff. The best that I can, you know what I mean? I want to show someone out there that's scared of this. I'm reiterating this. I want to show someone that may be thinking about it or would like to do it, and show them that it's not that bad. Order yourself an Ender 3. I'm suggesting this one. Let's go ahead and just get to talking about some of the things about the Ender 3, right? Okay. So if let me get a close-up. See if I can adjust this in right here. All right, that'll work. So up here is the Extruder Motor, okay? So it takes the filament, right, and it pushes it. There's a motor right here. I've got me a little wheel on here so I can manually like turn the motor, is what this does, right? So it pushes it through this piece of tube, right, and it comes down here to what they call the hot end. Let's see if I can raise that up a little bit. This is the hot end right here, right? And it pushes that filament through there, and it squirts it out a little bitty hole. There's a nozzle down here, and it's got a little tiny hole in it, and it pushes this through there and forces it out, and the printer just goes around and it builds your part, right? This particular printer has what they call a Bowden Style, right, where the extruder is mounted over here, and it forces that, and then this is able to flex around and move. Okay, so some people will say, let's back this back out right here. I've printed some TPU with this thing, and it's not giving me any trouble, all right? But some people will say this is not the greatest way to do flexible filament, because you're trying to push, if you could imagine a wet pasta noodle, you're trying to push that wet pasta noodle all the way through this line and down through there, you know, and force it into that hot end, and things can get, you know, bound up and everything. So what I did is, one of the upgrades that I did is I did this Bowden Tube here. Let's go back in here a little bit. I think this is called something like I don't quote me on this. I'm going to put a link in the description of the parts that I bought that were on Amazon. I got this printer from Amazon. Let me back this up. I need a cameraman. I'm going to put a link in the description of the things that I actually bought for this printer. Let me. I'm all over the place. I don't have like a script. I'm just doing this from my brain, and I'm scatterbrained all over the place all the time. So you'll want to upgrade this tube, right? Because the tolerances on this tube is a little bit smaller. The hole on the inside of this tube is smaller than the factory tube, so it's tighter, that it won't allow the flexible filament to get wadded up as it goes through this tube. Okay. Another thing that I strongly suggest that you do if you get the Ender 3, and the reason why I'm suggesting the Ender 3, I'm jumping all over the place here, is because this is like one of the most popular printers, because it is this one right here was $260, I believe, on Amazon, but you can get it on their website a little cheaper. You can catch sales and stuff that they have on here. But the regular Ender 3 is about $180-ish. Okay. One of the main things you're going to want, if you do anything to your printer, you're going to want to upgrade the springs that's down here on the bed. We'll get some shots of that. But the springs for bed leveling, they got some yellow springs, and why they don't even just put them on the daggum printer from the factory, I don't know. You can even get them from the Creality website. They're a stiffer spring, and it won't allow it to get out of level so easy, because with the factory springs, I was having to like level the bed almost every time I wanted to print anything, because when you go to pull your part off, it would get the bed out of level, and that's a pain in the ass. So the one thing that is a must is that you upgrade the springs on the bed, right? And then if you want to get a little fancy, you can get the new Bowden tube. But this stuff is not expensive. Parts for this thing is not expensive. I bought a kit that had the extruder mechanism. We're going to get a shot of that. This little mechanism right here was made out of plastic, and I ordered the aluminum one, right? And it come with this new, I want to say, it's got a weird name like unicorn or cloud or something. I don't know. But this new Bowden tube, I got that and the springs all in this kit for like 30 bucks. And I didn't think that was that bad of a deal. So let's talk about some of the things that I've printed for this thing that are completely useless. And I don't even suggest doing this, because this stuff was a pain in the butt. I do like how the way that I've got the spool over here. Let me see if I can just change this shot up a little bit right here. So I got my spool mounted off to the side where it was mounted up on the top, because the way let me just grab a stupid camera and do this. All right, so it was mounted. The reel was mounted on the top, and the filament had to go down and then turn a sharp 90 degree. It went down and turned real sharp, and then went into the extruder back here, right? This thing. So what I did was I've 3D printed this part. All this stuff's on Thingiverse, right? So I 3D printed this part. So my spool, it just smoothly just goes right into there. So that's something that's totally up to you if you want to print something like that. Was that shot even like, I think I might have had it zoomed in. No, I didn't. All right. So I'm taking this thing off the tripod. It's getting on my nerves. This is not going to be like a super edited whatever crap anyway. All right. So I've always liked the look of the cable chain, because the wiring on this thing was a freaking mess, right? So I've got the wiring pretty much cleaned up, with this cable chain here. It allows, this thing moves constantly. Like all these parts are always moving, and this will fatigue the wire. Like if you bend a wire like a bunch of times, it'll break. So this keeps the wiring like all nice and like rigid at the points where it matters, and super flexible in some of the other places. So I really like that. I printed it in black, added a little green accent. Another thing that I did was the adjustable belt tensioners. I can turn this little knob right here, and adjust that belt tension. Let's turn the printer around here. Oh gosh. I printed this little thing with the drawers. It's got all my little tools in there that I want to mess with. All this stuff's on Thingiverse. If you want links to all this, you know, just ask and I'll throw it in there. I did find this little thing. It's just a cover that covers this little stepper motor. And some guy had made it. It's on Thingiverse and it has like a little quadcopter and a skull. I thought that was pretty freaking cool, right? So, yeah, there's that. And then I printed this little cover. Got another belt tensioner right here on this one here. So that's pretty much it. So crap. Well, I was fumbling around with the camera and I accidentally turned it off and I finished the whole entire video. So now I got to start in the middle and try to say all this stuff that I said and I don't even remember what it was. So let's talk about, let me talk about the extruder for a second. People will say, I think, God, see, I can't remember. Now it's going to be like I'm going to be repeating myself because I am repeating myself, but I don't know if I've already said it in the video part that y'all already watched. So, excuse me if I'll try to edit it out. But anyway, let's talk about the extruder and the reason why people say that this is not the best printer for TPU, excuse me, is that what you want really is you don't want this tube. You want the extruder motor to be directly above the hot end, so there's no play. Like that flexible wet noodle of filament can have a direct path. Excuse me, can have a direct path right through the hot end and not have to deal with this tube. But the reason why a lot of printers have this tube on there is so this thing can swing quickly back and forth. I mean, it's moving quick. And if you have a bunch of weight on there, you've got like more inertia. And then this little tiny stepper motor that's moving this will have trouble like swinging that weight back and forth. And they'll have what they call ringing. Like if it's making a circle or whatever and it's going real fast, you know what I mean? You know, like a little pendulum effect. I don't know. But anyway, that's if you're wanting to print like really fast. If you're in a hurry and you've got a 3D printer, then you're in the wrong hobby, because things like this stupid brace down here, look, this little brace right here, this thing took on the crappiest settings. Now my camera's crooked, but the crappiest settings, like the lowest quality settings, this thing took like 9 hours to print. Like it printed overnight and was still going when I got up to go to work the next day. So like, yeah, if you're in a hurry, 3D printing, it's slow. We'll get into more of that later. But okay, so the reason why I said all that is because for $35 for this printer, you can get a bracket to where you can mount your extruder directly to this hot end, and you don't use this tube anymore. You'll have to use a little piece of tube, because this tube goes through, it goes completely through this fitting and all the way through the hot end, and you can't see it because the stupid camera angle. This tripod is getting on my nerves. So the filament goes all the way through, and this blue line that you see, it actually pushes through and comes all the way down to the nozzle, which you can barely see right there at the tip of my finger, right? It goes through the hot end that's like heating it up, right? So if you put a direct drive extruder on here, then you still have to have like a little piece of this. But for another something like $35 or 30 bucks, you can get what they call an all metal hot end. And instead of that Bowden tube going all the way through the hot end, it has a piece of metal in there. And then this little stuff will just stick right in there, and you don't have to worry about it. So I really suggest that if you're going to do something like that you need to just go ahead and get the all metal hot end. The one that I'm thinking about getting, the kit is somewhere around about 100 bucks, I think. But it comes with the Swiss style hot end and like a really cool looking billet aluminum. Like it's all made out of like one piece of aluminum. You get a whole new, it's just really cool looking. And I love my 3D printer, and I don't mind spending a little bit of extra money on it and a little time, because I like modifying it. I really enjoyed making it, but it took like I think I said earlier in the video, I've had this printer for somewhere around about 3 or 4 weeks, almost a month, and it has done nothing but print things for. I've printed a couple of little TPU things just to you know, to see how well it would do, and it did good. But I've just been modifying this thing, and I just think it's cool. Like one thing, let me see what I do with that part. Where did it go? One thing, right? All right, so I changed the location. I found this thing on Thingiverse, right, where I made this bracket that, you know, it used to mount, the spool used to mount on the top and went around and went in this weird angle. So I can't remember if I filmed this earlier or not, but I'm going to quickly like touch back on it, right? So my filament just comes straight off like this and goes right in there. Versus like the way it bent over, and people are all the time making like little brackets and little things and little rollers and all this crap. So this has been working fine, right? So let me zoom in on this thing here just a little bit. Tilt the camera down some. See, I was fooling with the camera a while ago and accidentally paused it. So from the factory, they send this little tube that screws on here, and that's what your filament rides on. So there's nothing wrong with that. But I found one on Thingiverse that I thought was freaking awesome. Was this one, right? And it has, you put ball bearings on there. Focus. What are you focusing on? I don't. There. So it has ball bearings, right? So this thing slips down in here. You print all of this, and then now it's got ball bearings that this rides on, and I just think it's cool. You don't have to do this. It's not a necessity, but it's just, I liked it. I seen that and I was like, I gotta have it now. I've got my line all twisted up here. So now it just rides on them ball bearings and just glides right along. So enough about that. So if we can get enough people, let me get my camera. I think I might be right back to where I was. I don't know. I think that's enough for this video. I may do a series. We'll just see how you guys react out there. Maybe if a guy's watching and he's like, you know, I'm in TAQ. You've got me talked into a 3D printer. I'm going on Amazon right now. I'm gonna buy me one. But the Ender 3 Pro is like $200 and something, and I don't know if that's something that I want to spend. Quickly, let me just say there's something out there that might be better than the Ender 3. So I'm gonna ask the question, you know, what is better than the Ender 3 3D printer? And that would be two Ender 3 3D printers. Has to be better than one Ender 3 3D printer. Got that joke from Fat Wing FPV out there. I miss you guys. Hit me up. We need to rip. In the next video, I'm going to show you guys how to put the Ender 3 together. There's tons of videos out there, right? But I'm just going to show you guys my way of putting this thing together and show you some tips and tricks and things about it. And then we're going to compare the Ender 3, compare it to the Ender 3 Pro. Right now, I'm going to say if you can afford it, get the Ender 3. This thing was on sale for the 4th of July. I think I gave $182 for the regular Ender 3. So we're going to do like a comparison thing, right? So if that's something that you want to see, be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't. And we're going to put this sucker together in the next video. So see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Bye.